Welcome back, everyone, to Record on the... Pete, put down the torch!
Cast it into the fire! Isildur!
Oh, God, I don't know what you guys are complaining about. God, I read some good stories this time. What? Wait, we didn't... I guess... Oh, right, we don't all read the same thing for this show. Well, sucks to be you guys. So, if you haven't guessed by now, or learned because you actually looked at the title of the episode, this is our fourth fan fiction episode. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Pete, and I have so many questions.
I'm scared, Mommy.
I thought you were Matthias. Okay, his new name is I'm Scared Mommy.
No, it's not. Pop Avid card.
Damn. So we are covering multiple fan fictions today. We all read different ones, and in a strange, bizarro twist, Pete found the worst thing imaginable, and I read two really good stories. So unfortunately, one of them's incomplete, and that made me a sad panda. But we will...
Isn't that because KD chose your stories this time?
Shut up!
Oh, consolation on the 80K.
Any consolation, I got suggested to one of my writers, and then there's a concept someone else suggested to me. I chose not to do because, well, I'll explain shortly. But yeah, we'll go from there. And then two of them I found. Two of these I found all on my own, and I wish I hadn't. So let's start. And you've never listened to any of our fanfiction specials before this, and hear just how much this mentally breaks us. Go on and go do that. And if you're wondering where our other normal panelists today are, Katie is unfortunately, she got the dry ditch fever vaccine, so she's recovering from that. And that is going to be my turn at the end of the month, actually. April 21st.
18th is my second.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we don't have anything scheduled to record that day.
But yeah. So suggested to me for this round were two things. One, two very prolific writers. Seriously, these guys write tens of thousands of words for their fanfics. And I had to find the shortest one. And the other thing, and as much as I'd like to do it, but we can't, was Red Wolf Survivor contests. And this is its own site off, not part of Red Wolf forums, but basically contestants write a character, make a character, write a story, and every once in a while votes are called to eliminate the character and make your Survivor joke here. Because that's not topical, and that will never stop being a good reference.
What's Survivor again?
But yes. So, and the reason I can't do this is mostly because of how we choose our fanfics. And if you've never listened to previous episodes, here's the short version. We tend to focus on fanfictions that A, tend to be in tone with the main series, for the most part. B, are not bloodier or, or more explicitly violent than the series proper, which is saying something, especially since we still haven't gotten to Doom White.
Yep.
C, while we don't necessarily exclude them outright, I personally prefer not to do shipping fics. Not that I don't think it's a capability, but Brian didn't write a lot of good romance for his franchise. He wrote some, but it was never exactly the most subtle.
I will not sit here and listen to you degrade the amazing romance that was Bluefend and Swart. It was the greatest romantic story in the series. I can't even keep a straight face for that.
I was going to say.
And that also brings up the simple fact is that if you hear your fanfic covered, or you hear a fanfiction covered that you are very much a fan of, great! We're glad, you got to hear your stuff covered. But if we cover you, we're not trying to make fun of you. Outright.
And just because we don't like it doesn't mean it's not okay for you to like it. Like I said when we have been covering Hyrule Lane, just because I don't like large swaths of that book doesn't mean it's not okay for you to enjoy large swaths of that book. We all have different opinions. And if I sound like I'm acting a little condescending, it's because I am.
We're gonna lose listeners. But the short version is that if we find a fanfic worthy of talking about, it's because it was notable enough to do so. So take pride in that.
Yeah.
Even if we think your fic mentally breaks us, as the one I am going to say for last definitely did. I sent around to we have our own little internal Discord chat for the panelists, and everyone was laughing at my mental pain.
Well, laughing is kind of a misnomer. It was more of a nervous laughter. Why is this breaking my psyche?
Or in Katie's case, why is this breaking Discord?
Apparently, what I was talking about was enough to crash her Discord client.
And yet, it's still not worse than the worst fanfiction I ever found.
No, but you have a long history we've only alluded to on the show of all the fanfictions you used to review on your own solo.
Because okay, so while it was painful to read those things, so for those who don't know, I used to have fun. I used to do MSTs on bad fanfictions. For a little bit, Pete and I would kind of team up and tackle them together, and then eventually I just started doing it on my own. Because I genuinely had fun, like coming up with like the little smart remarks and things, and there were fun moments where I would actually predict what was going to happen. And I wrote like I had my own characters doing it, so it was like a bunch of different characters to the point where, swear to God, I sent one of the authors a link, and he legitimately thought 9 different people reviewed the story. I take that as a compliment. So I legitimately had fun doing that. That being said, I found at least one story where I immediately just wiped it from existence, never looked back at it again, ran for the hills, and put my head in the sand.
Oh, is that the one that...
Uh-huh. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I ever told you about this one, actually. I'm not going to on this show because it's not this show appropriate. And that's also one of the reasons why I ran from it. But yeah. But yeah, so no, I genuinely enjoyed making fun of some of them, or in some cases just like ripping them to pieces. But yeah, so that's also why I have a history of being able to find the worst things on the planet.
And no joke, Jeremy and I's prototypical podcast, where we made one episode of, but we didn't go farther than that, was us doing exactly that in audio style.
Mm-hmm. I believe the one that we did was a Kim Possible Harry Potter crossover.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Where was it like her brothers get like the letter or whatever to go to Hogwarts or whatever it was?
Uh-huh. And then you made and it's okay for this show because I doubt Dibbins are going to know what this is, but you made the joke that the Kama Sutra was part of the required text to buy.
I forgot about that. I'll have to go back and re-listen.
If I just made you laugh too hard, well, I'm not sorry.
I'll have to go back and listen to that. I don't remember that comment. Oh, God, I made a lot of interesting comments over the years.
Yeah.
So, anyway, back to the topic at hand. Pete, what was your first story?
Well, and right before we get to that, let's also talk about fanfictionness for what it is. As we've mentioned in previous episodes, this is a trope older than time. People like a good story, to the point that they want to put themselves into it, or make their own version of the world. And modern media empires realize that this is a thing. There wouldn't be the Star Wars, Star Trek, Gears of War, Halo, insert media franchise here, expanded universe books if they didn't sell. And some of these got rekeyed into their own media franchises. See Twilight, see 50 Shades of Grey.
Or characters from some of these things becoming canon, like, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. The main villain in Star Wars Rebels. Thrawn.
Yeah.
Thrawn started off in one of those, in a trilogy of those novels, and he became a major character in Star Wars Rebels. So like, and
Mhm.
stuff like that does happen. There's in even with the official license, with the license stuff of this, there's good, there's bad, and there's nothing wrong with writing fan fiction. I've done it. I still kind of do it. Because I just like writing stuff in general. There's nothing wrong with writing it. There's something wrong with writing some of these things, but some of these things are kind of, let's be honest, really freaking creepy. Like,
And let me put it to you this way: the worst expanded universe book I've ever read was a part and parcel copy of the movie Taken, set into the Star Wars universe, where Sith captured a Jedi Padawan, and her brother did the famous Liam Neeson speech of "I don't know who you are."
I thought you were going to say Han Solo went off and did like the
No.
Liam Neeson role. Oh God, you know what? They should have had Qui-Gon do it.
Oh, real quick topic branch. Look on YouTube the next time you get the chance.
Mhm.
Liam Neeson was on the Graham Norton show, and a fan on that show asked, "Hey, can you record my voicemail response?"
Mhm.
And he did that whole Taken speech, and it was like, "I will find you. I will kill you. Please even leave your message after the sound of the beep."
I will find you and I will call you back.
But
I have nothing but respect for celebrities who will, go ahead and do that for people just because they enjoy it just as much as the fans.
In that vein, I always love that picture of Michael Rooker holding a copy of Mary Poppins.
Or when he had the blue umbrella with the orange fin and he was holding it up like Mary Poppins.
I didn't. That's great.
Yeah.
Uh,
But let's get to our fan fictions.
yeah.
So, as I mentioned, there was the character royale, which I'm not doing. But one of the authors suggested to me was this guy named Highwing, who has a pretty extensive listing on fanfiction.net for Red Wolf Fictions. And we're talking in the hundreds of thousands of words for some of these stories. Matt respected the fact that the man has written that much, and it seems to be well reviewed from the people I talked to in the community. That said, what he's written, I frankly didn't have time to read a couple 100,000 words in my daily life to sit down and do this. It's not that I don't appreciate the effort, I do, but when you're trying to have a normal life, and trying to deal with your own personal stuff, run 2 podcasts, and Jeremy, yes, I do want to talk about Fantrust. I did update that a couple of days ago, finally, but that's another story.
Oh.
And
Which episode?
Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
So, point is, I would love to go back and reread it, and I just yet might. And he actually touches on something here that I would love to have seen Brian flip on its head if he had given the time and take a twisted pleasure in flipping our major narrative, which he would have never have done. And I know this is going to cause laughter, so get it out of your systems. The first fiction I read was The Continuing Adventures of Martin the Turd by Highwing.
What?
What?
Alrighty then.
This follows Martin II, who is now an emo teenager.
Of course he is.
Matthias is still alive. Cornflower has recently passed within a few seasons. Matameo is trying to deal with his son, as long as with his wife Tess, who is apparently now Abbess. What?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Alma is now grown. Orlando is gone back to Salamandastron. And right now,
He wants to get away from the story.
in Resonance, hear me out. This is actually not a bad story, but not for the reason you think. And in Resonance at Redwall at the time is a not Salamandastron Badger Lord, just one with his own army from the Northlands, like where Martin came from, Martin the First, Earthblood. Okay, that's fine. It's a decent take back to a common name in the series, a reference name in the series. Fine. And Martin II. I mean, the story literally starts with Every major elder in the abbey except Grandpappy Matthias is telling Martin, "You're a little turd." And you know what? They're not wrong. Martin is cast as sullen, as disrespectful, as overly sarcastic, but his rationale isn't necessarily a bad one. He doesn't necessarily want the abbey or warrior life, and he kind of resents even his name, because as a result of it being literally named Martin, he's expected to live up to his namesake, his grandfather, and father's legacies as warriors. Now, don't get me wrong, that's actually a good thing to be resentful about.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's a teenager. That's going to come up. I get it. And Matthias does reach out to him and say, well, he's a lot kinder about it. He does basically say, hey, you need to figure this out. I'm not going to try to sway you one way or another. And if you don't want to be the warrior, that's fine. But don't just run around and be jerks to everybody. Is basically what he gets at. All well and good. Earthblood is in residence here and has been there for at least some days, if not weeks, basically talking to Redwall. And Martin is the only one who can see that there may be a more sinister motive that Earthblood has, trying to get the Abbey on his side. And it only comes out after the fact that Earthblood hasn't even shown up, that not only does he have a standing army of hundreds, if not thousands, coming off from the Northlands, he's incorporated known vermin species as not only standard troops, but even officers. Now, for me as an adult, my first reaction is, oh, that's a good thing, because one of the species equals alignment is a major problem with the franchise, at least from an adult point of view. From a kid point of view, I get why Brian did it. He wanted clear divisions between good and evil. All well and good. But Martin is the only member of the adults to even take the possibility into his mind that Earthblood may have an ulterior motive, and he has disciplined, trained, and has a standing army of not just standard woodlander species, but vermin who could come down the path at almost any minute. And they do. Now, I can't say where this goes because I didn't read the main Earthblood story that was 250,000 words. But it's in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, this is actually a good subversion. What happens if a Badger Lord is trying to set themselves up maybe as a king? But that's not where Martin goes with it. Martin's first was like, well, you've just made a much more disciplined army of possible vermin that is a even greater threat than Clooney could have been. And you know what? He's not wrong. One of the things that in almost every vermin horde in the entire franchise is that they're more often than not an undisciplined rabble with maybe some some officer oversight. Only about Sarmina even had the trappings of a regular, of a uniform and clearly divided ranks, but she also had a lot of dunderheads in charge.
Including the officers.
So,
yeah.
And even Earthblood is looking at this Martin kid, and he's like, he can see there's something of like, well, I got to be more careful around this guy. Now, I don't know where that would have gone. But for what it is, this isn't bad. Martin is a turd. Let's be honest here. He's written as one, but he's a teenager, so I can forgive him. What I don't understand is why the Abbey elders are so willing to tolerate Dibbins or near Dibbin, other teenagers, being absolutely brutal to what is effectively a near adult. Like, they honestly mock him pretty hard. And, all the adults aren't exactly on Martin's side here. So, say that for what you will.
As you're talking, it reminds me a little bit of shades of Vale's arc from Outcast of Redwall.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of the inverse, where it is rather than quote unquote bad species being raised in good environment, it's good species, good environment, but somehow goes bad? Question mark. And I don't know. I find the concept both interesting, at the same time, I just want to wave it off as every YA novel that is pandering to the age demographic that is most likely to identify with the main character. Because you said Earthblood, and all I could think of was XX Earthblood XX. And it's just like, dude, if you want me to take your character seriously, don't make it sound like somebody's, oh, look how cool and edgy I am, Xbox handle. It just doesn't work. And, you know, I get that not every Abbey Elder in the series is necessarily a good person, but never in the series was there a majority of elders that were just terrible people. Mm-hmm. We have not found that yet. And granted, the last couple of books are a little bit fuzzy in my head, but I don't recall them being problematic either. So, on the one hand, interesting premise. On the other, deviates a little too far from canon for my taste. That's just me.
I would have picked a different name for the story, but
yeah,
like if I like tip for fanfiction writers, the title of your story is the first thing people are going to see. So if it sounds like, even if your story is really good, if the title of it has the word, let's put it this way, if it has the word turd in it, a lot of people might just immediately turn off to it and walk away or click away.
I mean, it's a gamble of the dice either way, because my first inclination was to do just that, and I'm like, but I sell it. I'm like, okay, in my mind, there's gotta be a good reason behind that. Let's give this a quick read, and that's why I read it. All right. That being said, I think Matthias, you're next.
Yeah. So, anybody who's listened to more than 2 episodes of this podcast knows that we have a tendency to rib on the Abbey and the dwellers within for some of their, how shall we say, lapses in judgment when it comes to the defense of the Abbey. And I think none of us, more so than Jeremy, have been just rather explosive with, how could you be so stupid?
Didn't I describe it in, which book was it where I said everybody took turns holding the idiot ball?
Yeah.
I think that might have been Loam Hedge, but I can't remember which one it was now, but I just remember there was a specific book where I was like, then this one did this, then this one did this stupid thing, and then everybody held the idiot ball this chapter.
So what we have here is Redwall Defense Guide by Tobo Lone Wolf, a.k.a. How to Save the Blinken Abbey. Again, a guide how to properly defend Redwall Abbey. It's not particularly long. It's only 7 chapters, around 7,400 words. But each chapter is a lesson to the Abbey on how to properly defend themselves. And to summarize, the lesson 1 is always have weapons close on hand. Lesson number 2, close the blinking door. How many times has the door just been left wide open? You know, whether that be vermin wandering in, Dibbins wandering out, whatever.
And it's every door, please.
Yes, and they address specifically, you know, that little wall gate that always happens to be the point of entry.
Whereas in Rackety Tam, they at least finally used that to their advantage, lured a few in, and then went, now you can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
As I said the last time, manners maketh man. Am I the only one to sing Kingsman?
So,
Okay.
Matthias, what was the next tip?
Lesson number 3: don't argue with Dumb and Dumber. And I knew that would crack you up, Jeremy, because I knew that would crack you up because it's basically, hey, anytime vermin come to the gate, to the wall, just present a strong defense, and don't interact with them more than you have to. Just give them what they need, go on their way.
Which was the one where the Verban band came up and they threw a stone and knocked one of them unconscious, and they were just lying out there for like 10 minutes until the leader was like, and drag them back here.
Lesson number 4: gluttony is a sin. Basically, don't feast your victory until you've actually victoried. And there's this really great bit that's underlined. A note to Harris. I do not understand your affinity for food. Perhaps you have all had traumatizing childhood experiences involving the lack of food, and thus have an instinct to scoff every blinking thing in sight the moment food appears. In fact, I believe Harris scoffed more food at the end of a meal, feast, snack, than at the beginning of said meal/feast/snack. However, the time that you take scoffing is time when something is not defended. And even if you are replaced on duty, that does not mean that you should haunt the kitchens like an emaciated rabbit. If you eat food now, there will be less food for the big feast later. By big feast, I mean the gala feast at the end when all the vermin are forever gone and some hero emerges, and so on and so on. I can assure you that it is much more pleasing to feast with no worry about possible attack than a mini feast in between attacks.
Somebody give this section to Scarum, please.
Yes.
And
Lesson
maybe Pickle, just as a Cliff's Notes version.
Yeah, Pickle could stand to 1 or 2 fewer plum puddings.
This is true.
What am I kidding? 1 or 2 dozen fewer plum puddings.
Though, in Pickle's defense, when things got serious, so did he.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike Scarum.
Yes.
Lesson number 5: knowledge is power. Basically, where is all this ancient history and knowledge in the series going? And I mean, it's perfect that we're covering Hyrule Lane now. They finally have a library.
The fact that it's this long, though.
Yeah, it's so good. And it provides, just a couple of basic things of, how to establish a library. And it was like, this is great. I love this. Especially as somebody who works in a library. This makes me very happy.
Are you crying?
They're tears of joy. So, I mean, this line right here is just perfect. From what I can gather, you Redwallers have a tendency to lose and forget crucial facts. No, not the little sayings and recitals from Abbey School, the facts about your defense of Redwall. Why can you remember the old songs, but not the old facts? I mean, come on. It's not that hard.
Well...
what about the tunnels from Matameo? What about that water source, that spring? It's just like...
Smoke bomb.
What's going on? I don't know.
It's like Star Trek Voyager. There's no continuity between episodes.
Lesson number 6. Use your head. Basically, common sense. Doors are open. Close them. Food left alone. Store it. Some vermin is crawling over the battlements. Kill him. Yep, because if you don't, they will kill you and lots of other Abbey beasts.
I mean, pointing out the obvious, all the way back in Muriel, we had Dibbins who understood the whole vermin climbing over the battlements is a bad thing.
That
I
is
love the way that's
literally the
phrased.
next paragraph. Dibbins are running about when Redwall's under siege. Stop them! Lock them in the nursery or something.
I'm sorry, I love the way that's phrased. Vermin climbing over the wall, kill them!
This is so good. And then the last one is attack. Basically, don't be passive. Just, if there's vermin, get a plan together, get those weapons that you saved, form a battle strategy, get on out there.
It's like in Loam Hedge where they're like, they're weakened, get after them! Oh shoot, Lana's gone insane, run away!
Gone insane?
Yes. There's this great
Lana didn't
thing.
suffer from madness, he enjoyed every minute of it.
How to Kill a Vermin by Lone Wolf 16. Step 1. Take up sharp pointy object. Take care not to hold the sharp edge. Step 2. If vermin is far away, throw it at him. Or if you're feeling particularly brave and lucky and do not care about the possible bodily harm caused to you yourself, and or have the spirit of Martin the Warrior helping you, scream, Redwall! And charge the vermin. Step 3. If a vermin is close by you, hit him hard with the sharp and pointy end of the sharp pointy object. Vital areas to hit: eyes, paws, chest, anything not covered in armor. Step 4. Continue hitting until vermin is dead. Scream continually to confuse him. Step 5. Move on to next vermin.
Stop. Continue hitting until dead.
I've broken Jeremy. I'm very sorry for this.
No, you're not.
I'm sweating, I'm laughing so much.
You're not sorry for that. Come on.
Oh god.
You're right, I'm not.
Oh god. Oh. Okay, continue.
Anyway, I mean, for all of our collective gripes with Redwall's lackluster security and poor memory, it's all addressed here. And if only the Abbey had such smart people as us, then the Abbey would never be attacked and the series would never happen.
Oh no, there'd still be attacks, but they'd be a lot shorter.
Yeah. Oh god.
I mean, pretty much.
An entire subplot of Mariel of Redwall wouldn't exist.
Yes. So in that case, fling the gates open! Open them wide up! Let all the vermin in!
I mean,
Story
the
has to
question
happen.
is, would the spirit of Martin and or Gumph allow this, because then you'd spoil their fun. Just
Yeah,
pointing that out.
probably, because they get to fight again.
Yeah. Oh god.
So anyway, that was Redwall Defense Guide.
No, I approve. I definitely approve of this. I would like an addendum to address Salamandastron's occasional bad actions. That's mostly having your Blood Wrath protocol written.
I'd also say, remember the fact that you have a water supply underneath the place.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
I am dropping link in chat for Jeremy to enjoy the hilarity later.
Oh my god, yeah. I will, that's going to my favorites. Oh, I needed that. That was good. Okay. Whew. All right, so for something that's not nearly as funny, or not funny, my first story. Okay, so I think I can't remember. I think Matthias said it earlier. I've lost track of all time and space now. So both of my stories were sent to me by Katie because I can't remember. I think I suggested that somebody just find something for me because I always find the worst things. And in my defense, I'm right because I found the one that broke Pete's brain first. So So she sent me two of them. And the first one is called A Place of Refuge by Roguish Red Axion. This is actually not on fanfiction.net. It's on this person's Tumblr.
That's still a thing?
I don't know how long ago. Well, this was posted in 2019.
Ah.
So this was posted a while ago. I don't know the state of Tumblr. I don't pay attention to that stuff. But
Yeah.
The only Tumblr I ever paid attention to was texts from Final Fantasy 13, where the person who ran it took the texts from last night quotes and put them over images from Final Fantasy 13, and they were hilarious.
That's fine. Continue.
Yeah. So anyway, so this one takes place. It's shortly after Pearls of Lutra, and it centers on Grath, and it's basically just like her kind of dealing with the events that took place in before the book started, like pretty much the killing of her family, and the fact that she's now getting used to living on the like in her new home with Inbar Trueflight. And it's like the concept of like, oh, this character's depressed and somebody's there for them and stuff. It's nothing new, but the author does a really good job with it, and it does a good job of getting in Grath's head and like covering her feelings and her memories. And honestly, it's something that we don't get a whole lot of this series because it's children's books for the most part. In some cases, it's really children are reading this part. Okay, it's more for the violent content. We don't get a lot of like inner thoughts at times. We get emotional moments, like obviously the end of Martin the Warrior is like one of the saddest things in the world.
Uh-huh.
But in Pearls of Lutra, Grath was mainly just focused on revenge and fighting against the sea rats or just pirates in general, which she never really got closure because Martin killed the big bad. But now that she's actually off on her own, like she's doesn't need to do that anymore, she's confronting these feelings and trying to like realizing that as time passes, her memories of her family are starting to fade, and that is a pretty painful thing because she lost all of them. And part of it is her like kind of keeping it to herself because she sees the otters on the Hidden Isle as like, oh, they shouldn't have to deal with things like this. This is my burden to bear. But Inbar, reaches out to her and like asks her to kind of describe like the parties she would have with her family or like special times together. And it's her like kind of understanding like, oh, which some people just don't get is if you talk about things, it helps. And it kind of goes to in Pearls of Lutra, Inbar helps give Grath a new Holt, like a new place to live. But in this short story, which is just a one shot, it's one chapter, he helps give her a new home and a new family. And it's like, you don't have to go through this alone because we are here for you. And like I said, the concept of it isn't revolutionary or anything like that, but that's fine because it's well done. And I don't mind if a concept that's been done before is handled well because everyone has their own take on certain things. And it doesn't feel like heavy-handed or melodramatic or emo with its themes and Grath's thoughts. I had no inclination to listen to Evanescence or Linkin Park while reading this. So I recommend it. I think it's good. I think it's like I think it's a well done story, as short as it is. It's short, does what it needs to do, and finishes. And even though it deals with some dark and serious stuff, especially like they meant, it goes into a little bit more detail about like the aftermath of the massacre in Holt Lutra, which is, little graphic, but it was still a horrible thing. But by the end of it, it has like it's light at the end of the tunnel. It has like a good theme to it, and it has a good ending.
Good. So my next one, I'm again saving the pinnacle of something for last. Comes from the Red Forums, and it's a recent of last year, called The Shield Maiden. I admit I ran out of time to completely finish it, but you know what? I liked what I was reading. This is from the Red Wolf forums. It is The Shield Maiden by, and I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering the pronunciation of this, Mumley. And what caught my eye is that this writer takes the time to make their own chapter art. That's dedication.
Yeah.
Frankly. They are 5 chapters in. The author makes their own chapter art as it comes out, and it's so far a pretty solid entry. I'm definitely going to finish this later because I was enjoying it, but I just simply ran out of time to get it ready for today. So props. I will definitely come back to that.
Cool.
Yep.
The fact that I agree. The fact that they took the time to do their own artwork for each chapter, that's something I wish I could do. Like, that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that alone sells me in worth reading that this fic is worth reading.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that they understand this world as it is, based on what I was reading. It did show, it went a little deep into that otter culture that we don't always know too much about. Like, it has a conversation between the Mossflower Holt skipper and one of his own otters about basically grief and why, why that other otter didn't show up at the hullabaloo, which happens every couple of summers. So, yeah.
Well, then, this is now on my radar. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, to take a equally somber tone, I have Tribute by Adder of the Pit, and it's very short. It's just under 900 words long. And it was originally published February 8th, 2011, just days after Brian's passing. And I know that we talked about that a couple episodes ago, but this being the 10th anniversary of his passing, it's impactful. And I'm certain this was the author's exercise to deal with their grief. And death is not an easy thing to grapple with. But, well, you'll see. It's basically Martin doing his rounds throughout the Abbey. No one's seeing him because he's not actually there.
Ooh, I'm a ghost. Sorry.
But he's keeping an eye on everything. But he ends up looking out from the bell tower and seeing Traveler coming up the path. And it's someone who Martin doesn't recognize, like no creature he's ever seen before, yet somehow familiar. And Martin goes and greets the Traveler at the gate and says, "Who are you?" "Well, I think you know the answer to that." And simply replies, "Yes, I suppose I do." And, of course, it's Brian coming home to the Abbey. And there's this really, really sweet line at the end. "There would come a day when Mossflower Country was no more, and Redwall, Martin the Warrior, and Brian Jakes were no more than memories locked in the minds and hearts of the souls who would follow them. But that day would not come yet, not for a long, long time. And even then, when only memories remain, are they truly gone?" So this whole thing, short as it might be, just Brian coming home to Redwall is a very moving mental image for me, and it's going to stick with me for a while.
Fair enough. Jeremy, what was your second one?
Oh, God. I'm glad we're ending with yours. That's going to be more lively because I also have one that's not. Mine's there. Okay, so as I said with the first one, I don't mind a concept that's been done before if it's done well. So the second story that Katie sent me is called Redwall Midwinter Miracle by, I don't know how to pronounce this. Kazeno Shun. I apologize. Kazenoshun. So I apologize if I didn't pronounce your handle properly. Excuse me. This one is on fanfiction.net. And it takes something that I'm sure, like, I haven't dug into the pantheon of Redwall fanfiction, but I'm sure that countless people have covered this. And to describe the concept of it, I will uh, quote what I said to Katie after I read the first chapter, which was, "Rose is alive?" So, which I'm sure plenty of stories have done this. However, this handles it very well, and I think like I said, because I haven't read all of them, I think it's relatively unique and interesting. The story takes place after Legend of Luke, so this is after Martin has learned more about his father and everything, and we've seen those events, and the author took something from Legend of Luke and did something bigger with it, where in Legend of Luke, Martin mentions that his memory of the past is hazy, that after he recovered from his battle with Sarmina, he doesn't remember a lot. Which this story
Okay.
runs with, which I think was a good note that, like, even if you recover from from these terrible injuries, it doesn't mean you're perfectly fine.
Oh no, no.
Yep. And the author also takes that with Rose as well. So it takes place in the winter with Gingivier and Sandingham. I think that's how we said her name was pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it was just nice to see both of those characters mentioned in it. Like, there's a lot of little mentions of characters or usage of characters that I like. Like Sister Emile is mentioned. I think that's pretty cool. And Fulgrim doesn't really pop up in it, but they mention him. So it's just like saying, like, hey, we know that there's other characters. They're just not going to be featured, but they exist. And with Rose, it's a good contrast that he's like, oh no, she was okay. Concept. No, she just didn't die. No, she was thrown into a wall, and they say that there was damage done to her neck, and it's permanent. Like, she's mostly okay at times, but she has trouble walking. That sometimes when she says, like, it's when it gets extremely cold out, she starts getting numbness in her foot paws. And they explain that she was essentially in a coma, and that Brome didn't realize that she wasn't gone because he had only just become a healer. He didn't know the ins and outs of medicine, which
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And by the time she woke up, Martin was long gone, and they didn't realize, like, they didn't know where he was. And so in this story, part of the concept is the Ramblin' Rosehip players, Brome, Rose, Grum, and a few others have traveled there because they heard tell of Martin. Now, here's where the other downside comes in of that concept from Legend of Luke. Martin has forgotten everything that happened during Martin the Warrior. So he doesn't remember who Rose is. He doesn't remember who Brome is. He doesn't remember any of them. And yeah, it's, you can say it's plot convenience amnesia, but I believe it's handled well and it treats it seriously. Like, it does a good job with it. Like, they don't try to, there's no jokes made about it or anything. And they show that Martin has, like, little flashes here and there, like little things where at one point Rose is going through, like, they're moving some of Martin's possessions inside, and she sees pictures that he drew where there's no faces on the people, but she can easily tell that this is Brome, this is Grum, this is me. And he has drawings of, or writing about late roses blooming and things like that. And they do a good job. The writer does a good job with this natural connection between him and Rose. She remembers who he is, but he doesn't remember her. But they still have this like natural friendship, and there's some honestly wonderfully adorable and fun moments. And something I really love throughout the whole story is Martin is really, really good with the Dibbins, and they all love him, and he's basically like their Uncle Martin, and it's so cute. Unfortunately, the story is unfinished. And the last time it was updated, I'm saying was 2017. So, sometimes people do go back to stories that they haven't written in a while or left sitting for a while, or some things just take a long time to write. I To put this in perspective, I just finished something today that a friend of mine and I originally put together, and I just did a rewrite. This thing's now 20 years old, and it's finally done. So there's always hope, but I don't think they're coming back to it. And the final chapter kind of ends on a cliffhanger where something I like is that Gomf figures out who Rose is based on seeing like Martin's drawings and notes and things, and just kind of gets like she knows him from before, or like some of them know who he is and things like that. Like he picks up on little things, and I think that's a very Gone thing, that he's very observant and like more than just the. I'm assuming some stories have just made him out to be the goofy sidekick, which he was definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of come to a moment where they have to talk about, as they said, part of them, they do want to remind Martin who Rose is because it's obvious that she was very important to him. However, they also realize that even if they, reminding him of who Rose is also entails reminding him of all the horrible stuff that happened to him in the past. He's going to have to be told, like, yeah, he already knows about what happened to his parents, but like, yeah, you were captured with your grandmother who died. You had friends that you lost during all this. Like, all these terrible things happen. So it's like, it's not just cut and dry. And I still recommend reading it because what's there is good. And I will freely admit the last chapter, like, got me a little teared up, especially because the song I was listening to during it. So yeah, this was a good story. It has its little like fun and happy moments, but also takes its serious moments seriously. Like it does a good job, and I think the writer has a talent for like capturing some of the feel of the books in there. Like there's scenes in this story that feel like they could have been in one of the books.
Mm.
Fair enough. So that just leads us to the one that broke me earlier today.
Yeah, Pete, bring us something to laugh about or poke
So
fun at.
let's talk about Selena, the Healer Fox of Redwall Abbey by Super Mel 1.
There's a 1. Does that imply that there's a 2?
Well, more that they're trying to block a lawsuit from the Mel Brooks. So, because yeah, you know, you don't deserve that name, but that's another story.
Mel?
Yeah, Mel.
Well, what if their real name is Mel?
Oh, fair enough. So we've mentioned in the past Mary Sue's or their male equivalent Gary or Marty Stew. And if you're not familiar with this concept, the idea behind a Mary Sue is that a writer it makes a character that is essentially them and puts it into the fan fiction. But these characters are usually done without any kind of serious character flaw, and they're always well loved, and so on and so forth.
And please note, this is different from a self-insert where a person literally just puts themselves into the story and just has them in it. This other thing is like, it can be a completely made-up character, but oh my god, it could, like, this character can do anything and is perfect and is super special, awesome, and it just, unless you, like, most likely the reader will not love them nearly as much as the writer does.
So, this particular fiction starts off a little odd because in one, it's pretty obvious it's based on the cartoon over the more than necessarily the books, and why I mentioned that will become readily apparent shortly. But essentially, this Selena is and this takes place in the scope of the original book, where that she lives at Redwell Abbey and had been given up for adoption with her twin brother, two different families, but they lost both their adopted families at an early age, and both coincidentally rented Glenwell. Selena knew her brother had lost more because his older adopted sister, Myrtle, oh, I'm Myrtle.
Matthias' sister. She's returned.
No!
Is the one who brought Matthias to the Abbey and then therefore died shortly thereafter. So yes, sorry Myrtle, but as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to go that far, if I have to speak any of Selena's lines, it's in that deep voice.
Oh my god, Pete, I had no idea you wrote super special awesome character in your notes. I swear I was not quoting your notes when I said that.
So, the Abbey dwellers are convinced that both Selena and Matthias are siblings and twins, and they just happen to be a fox and a mouse. That has not begun to get to my reaction. That ultimately broke me. So, and the whole reason the Abbey is convinced of this, and, see what Matthias himself said earlier about common frankincense, is that they both have two halves of a locket, like it's Annie the orphan.
We have BFF necklaces.
So that means you're totally siblings. Not. But all that is odd enough.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. So we get a rather saccharine and terribly written bit of young Selena trying to care for her twin brother. Yeah. But when we get to the main story proper, everyone's like, oh, a fox at Redwall. That doesn't happen. Hence, super special, awesome Mary Sue. And, of course, Lord Alphys is going to want to make her the Abbey infirmary keeper. And in the beautifulness of humbleness, she's like, no, give it to Sister May. So, where this broke me, because it just keeps, is basically, and then there's also basically an offhanded mention to the best Badger family off on the Western Plains. I helped give birth to their daughter because Selena's a healer. Yeah, whatever. So where this starts is when she meets her first Reynard, which is, if you're not familiar with the term, it's a male fox. And where this guy's doing is when Selena mentions to this boy fox, oh, my brother is the warrior back at the Abbey. Wait, isn't that a mouse? Yes, well,
I'm special.
Our mother was a fox. Our mother was her fox, and our father was a mouse. What? I have so many questions.
And our fans are terrified. Oh,
and literally after I got finished reading this, I screen capped this and sent it to our Discord. Not just because fanfiction.net doesn't let you copy paste anymore, but no, they had to be seen. And for the record, that I have so many questions was literally how I reacted. And it gets worse. It has not begun to get weird.
This is concerning.
So, you have the same parents. Oh, our mother's a fox and our father a mouse. It's very strange. I know, but it can happen. No, it cannot.
It should not. It should not. Like, the only thing that produces is a horrible mutant creature that goes, kill me. Every moment that I live is agony.
So it gets worse. It gets weirder and it gets worse. Because not only does Matthias and Cornflower have a few more kids behind Metameo, which is okay, fine, whatever. And yes, we get to see a birthing scene written because that wasn't really needed to be seen.
Oh God! I was taking a sip of water when you said what? I'm sorry. What?
Cornflower somehow gives birth to a baby fox girl.
You okay there, Jeremy? Okay, great.
Clean up. Aisle 3.
Oh God! I just went to the thing and it says, "Oh God!"
You did that to yourself,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
I
You did
clicked
that to
on the
yourself.
link and there's a line that says, "Does this mean you won't cut off my?" Okay, I don't want to hear this right now. Kill me.
Oh no, she does threaten to kill off her new boyfriend's,
What?
family
What?
jewels.
Other tale?
Yes.
Uh,
So Jeremy's dead. Stop making those
Wait.
noises.
Oh my God! What?
So it gets worse because Matthias and Cornflower continue to have kids, and yes, they're a mix of foxes and mice because that's how it works.
No.
Or that, or Matthias and Cornflower are freaking swingers.
Tea party.
Oh,
I just saw the line. Wait.
but oh,
We have
yeah,
we have two boys that are mice, a daughter that is a vixen, and another daughter that is a cat.
yeah, that happens.
What?
I'm sorry, what kind of cough syrup was this person on?
What else is this person? Fiction K my foot.
So, yeah, that's a thing.
Look, this is the only thing this person has ever written. Thank God. Oh, and they wrote it in 2016. Of course, they wrote it in a hell year. Oh God. What the?
I get see. Yeah, see, I broke Jeremy. Oh, and Slygar is apparently another sibling of Matthias and this Mary Sue, and he's misspelled continuously as Slaygar, with adding a Y to, make the word slay in his name, because it sounds cool. Or the writer misspelled it for stupid reasons.
What the hell?
XXX Lagar XXX.
So, yeah. And, of course, her new Fox BFF, they totally fall in love and get married. And yeah, that's a thing. Oh, and Slygar totally is reformed and calling himself Uncle Chickenhound. No. Just no.
I mean, if this whole thing is supposed to be quote unquote based on the animated TV show, this does a disservice to the greatest actor who's ever graced animation,
Oh,
Tim
what
Curry.
this? Oh, you weren't meaning me. I must break you.
Right,
So yes,
this has one review.
If you're wondering what fic was basically starting me with cast it into the fire.
What the Wait a minute. So there's one review for this story written by the author.
Oh no.
To whoever helped me correct my problem, ... Thank you in all caps, ! And then the number 3.
Is this a Poe? Is this invoking a Poe's law where it's someone who's deliberately writing something this outlandish just for the parody?
I got flashbacks of a terrible fanfic writer. Swear to God, they changed their name on here, but swear to God, Jesus loves everyone. Love spelled Luvs. This reminded me of her crack stuff because she was bonkers too. Oh, this was the one that wrote the story where the Ninja Turtles become human and go to high school. And there just happen to be 4 female characters in it that match their color scheme.
So yeah, that was the thing.
Oh my god. So, oh god, this Pete, you've stolen my powers. I wouldn't be proud of that. Oh my god, that's
Special.
Super special awesome.
Yeah, oh, it's special, all right. It's just not in the special way they specially think it is. I am making a decree right now. The term Mary Sue will no longer be said on the show. It's been said enough time. It's dead. The term is dead now. This is the new rule, okay? And this will go into effect in the next show. Instead of Mary Stu, or Gary Sue, or some mixture of the two, I didn't mean for that to rhyme. You will just use some term or something to describe the person, such as Miss Super Special is best at everything and everybody loves her. Zzz. Something like that.
The character is suffering from super specialitis.
Yes, there we go. I like that. Oh my god. I'm blah, blah. Just go, let's Miss People think is super perfect, but she's protagonist. I don't know. Perfectionista. Super lady. I don't know. I don't care. Just kill me.
Bang.
Blech.
Wow. Oh dear. He's gonna come back and haunt us. You realize that, right?
It's starting.
But yes, so that was my third and one that broke me, and I'm glad I was entertaining for my colleagues on the panelists when I was live reacting to it.
Oh, and then you just had to share the pain with us.
Hey, you clicked on that link. You chose to click on that link.
That link is
I also
remaining
originally
blue
chose
on
to
my
run.
browser.
Huh?
That link is remaining blue in my browser. I love myself too much to put myself through that kind of torture.
I mean, we've already given you whatever the opposite of highlights is. So.
Oh god, low lights or
Low darks.
low dark, high darks.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Arthur. If you're listening to this and you're angry at us for covering your fan fiction,
I apologize for nothing.
not in so many words, but look, we found you notable enough to talk about, and that means you're going to get some traffic to your lovely fiction.
And maybe you'll get a review that isn't written by yourself.
So, take that with some pride, I guess.
I will say something positive about it.
You didn't read it?
Well, I mean, yes, but I was thinking something more along the lines of the content of it. I didn't hear anything about Wild Ivy, so
That would have improved the story. Oh, God.
I broke Jeremy again.
It's still not the worst thing I've ever found, but...
Oh, no. I remember when you and I were tag teaming fan fictions, so
yeah. We found... And you know which story I mean.
I'm aware.
And I'm not even giving it the attention on here. All I'll just say is there was something that was the worst thing ever where the review I left was like 3 paragraphs long. Oh, God. Yeah.
So, yes, that was that. So,
Jeremy, question.
Yes.
Does this change your standing of Scarum as a character at all? Just because of how bad and horrible this was?
Scarum is canon. This character wasn't. Therefore, Scarum was in an official book. That makes him worse than any fanfic character.
Fair enough.
He's canonically terrible. At least friggin' half mutant fox mouse cat hybrid is stuck in the hellish landscape that is their own fan fiction.
I mean, if somebody is like making some weird Fallout crossover with Redwall, I mean, sure, I guess.
Redwall never changes.
It's not my cup of tea.
Somebody made a Fallout Redwall crossover? Seriously? Wait, that shouldn't surprise me. I found a Dragon Ball GT Kim Possible crossover. Anything exists.
Yeah, I have no idea if such a thing exists, but the existence of such a thing would not surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, this is true. And also, I'm not saying all crossover fan fiction is bad. It's there. You can do it well. There's examples of it being done well. But there's some things.
I know several old members of the Brony community who I have friends who are big fans of that would mention Fallout Equestria right about here, which is a real thing. It is a ongoing fan fiction longer than the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I'm not listening. I don't want to know. I literally have my fingers in my ears. Oh, God. Okay. Well...
That being said, you can find us at recorderonthewall.com. We are available on Twitter at ROTWPOD. Our primary contact Gmail is at ROTW at... One more time. ROTWPOD@gmail.com. We are usually active on the Redwall subreddit r/Eulalia, where Matthias commented on my comment the other day about Wild Ivy.
Yes.
And we tend to be active on the Redwall forums, which are generally good people too. Which I pulled a fan fiction from there. So we like fan reviews. We like interaction with our fans. And as I've said, at least one of these authors was suggested to me. So we do hear from fans, and we do take their opinions into account here.
Yeah. So I'm going to put it out there for the next time we do this of next year, but so you have time, feel free to suggest whatever you like. If I'll put it this way, if I don't know if it'll have aired by the time this is going out, but if you listen to my railing on book 2 of Hyrule Lane and are not happy with my opinion, feel free to suggest some garbage to me and torture me with that. I will freely read your bad fanfics. I've read the worst thing on the internet. You can't faze me, I think.
You have just opened up the floodgates.
I don't care. There's no way. I'm sorry. I've read the worst. I read Christian Humber Reloaded, for Christ's sake. Okay, that's one of the worst things on the internet, and I still read something worse than that.
Matthias, when we're off air, we'll mention what that was.
I think I talked about it last time, but anyway. So yeah. I'd say Katie should be happy that she missed that, but she's probably going to be listening to this whole show, back to the whole show anyway. But, so next time, we are going to cover Book 3 of Hyrule Lane. And, yeah. So until then, stay healthy, stay safe, avoid bad fan fiction. Do not read Selena, the Healer Fox of Redwall Abbey. Do read, apparently, the continuing adventures of Martin the Turd. Definitely read the Redwall Defense Guide, because that sounds like the funniest thing I've ever heard. And definitely check out A Place of Refuge, Redwall Winter Miracle, and Tribute. And The Shield Maiden, too. So read the good ones we talked about. Don't avoid Selena the Healer Fox of Redwall Abbey like Dried Itch Fever.
Yes. Redwall Defense Guide is basically inoculation against Selena, the Healer Fox, at Redwall Abbey.
Oh, and for the record, we do have one new 5-star review, but no new text reviews.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and also for those who are, just to say to everyone, like, if you just want to listen, that's fine. You don't have to leave a review. We're not pressuring you into that. We're not pressuring you into sending us suggestions and things like that. If you're one of those people that just likes to sit back and listen to our voices, that's awesome. So thank you. We appreciate you in every way.
Why would they want to listen to our voices specifically?
Oh,
Well,
one last thing I want to mention before
it
we
would
go
be
off
kind of
air.
strange if they didn't want to listen to our voices and still listen to the show. But granted, I mean, plenty of people hate things and still like. There's the famous scene from Star Trek Generations. I hate this. More, please.
One more
I
thing
was thinking
before we
more
go
along the
off air
lines.
here.
I was thinking more along the lines of everyone's here for KD. We're just the accessories.
One last thing before we go off air, please.
Okay.
Pete, you look like you have something to say. Do you?
I want to point out that if we haven't already mentioned them, we have a new sibling in the Among Redwall podcasts, Redwall. And they are a brand new Redwall podcast. I think they have 3 episodes out as of this recording.
Mhm.
And they, like us, they had their own episode 0, and they are 2 books deep into the original book.
Cool.
So, mad props to them. Let's see if we can get them on sometime. I'd love to. I'd love to hear of him address some of the fanfics we covered today.
Share the love.
Okay. So until next time, folks, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Matthias. Go read Redwall Defense Guide.
You sound unsure of that.
I'm having flashbacks to Selena the Healer Fox Redwall Abbey. My psyche is scarred for the rest of the week. Thank you, Pete.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Come on, recorder. Come on, recorder. Okay.
There it is.
Is it on the wall?
Recorder, get down off the wall and start listening. Okay.
That might be a post outro outtake.
I am the outtake master.
Yes.
All right.